Welcome back. I'm Ben Mankiewicz, joined by Mike Pogorzelski. He is the director of the Academy Film Archive. We just saw Detour, and Mike, let me start with why it was so important to get a good, clean, restored copy of Detour.
Well, I think that Detour is one of the purest film noirs because of the budget limitations that the filmmakers had. There could be no fat on the bone, both stylistically and story-wise. And it was important to still be able to show the original achievements that the filmmakers were able to get on such a short shooting schedule and such a limited budget. And I'm really proud of the fact that all of these collaborators came together to make that most complete and best looking restoration of Detour.
You mentioned that this is really an example of, maybe the best example of pure film noir. Remarkable that is conveyed in just over an hour. I mean, there's not a wasted shot in this movie.
No, definitely not. They had no choice but to shoot as quickly and leanly as possible. And so there are signs of the lack of budget that they had. Ariane Ulmer-Sipes, Edgar Ulmer's daughter, told Heather and I a great story while we were working on the restoration. The sweater that Anne Savage is wearing when her character is introduced in the side of the road by the gas station actually belonged to Ariane's mother. And Edgar Ulmer just grabbed it and put it on Anne Savage, and it didn't fit very well at all. So they actually just used clothespins in the back to make it a little bit more form-fitting for Anne Savage. And if you go back and look at the film again, there's just a brief moment where she's turning before she gets into the car that you can actually see the clothespin on her back. This was the kind of creative solutions that Edgar Ulmer and his crew were coming up with to make the movie as best as they could, but as quickly and cheaply as they could.
I love that point, and it brings up an interesting challenge for people like you who work on film restoration. There could be a temptation to use the restoration process to get rid of those clothespins, right? I mean, I'm sure Ulmer didn't really want to see them, right? Maybe didn't notice. So you could theoretically, not even theoretically, you could get those out probably, but you don't do that.
Yeah, I think that temptation is there, and it manifests itself in a number of different ways. We've worked with filmmakers who are revisiting their movies, and they remember the day of shooting that went wrong, where they didn't quite get the light that they wanted, or the shadow wasn't just exactly the way that they were hoping it would be photographed. And there is a strong desire to be able to turn certain dials and knobs to quote fix that, or to get something better. And every situation is unique and pulls you in different ethical directions. And working with a living filmmaker who you can consult to make decisions is one thing, but standing in John Ford's shoes or Alfred Hitchcock's shoes or Michael Curtiz's shoes, that's something different. So we're very careful not to have the restoration be making any artistic decisions. Our work is about preservation, and we have no desire to start making artistic decisions for filmmakers that aren't there. It's a very delicate and clear line that we have to stay on one side of, and that responsibility is always there whatever movie we're working on.
You mentioned getting the film from Belgium. You mentioned MoMA. You work on the restoration with the Film Foundation. Like making the film, this is a collaborative process.
Absolutely. The Film Foundation has been bringing these collaborations together over its entire 30 years of its existence. And in the case of Detour, you have two American archives, like you mentioned, the Academy Film Archive and the Museum of Modern Art, and two European archives, not just the Cinémathèque Royale de Belgique, but there was one shot in Detour that didn't exist in any other element accept a print at the collection of the Cinémathèque Française. And so they were able to scan that shot for us and become part of the collaboration. Detour is really the perfect, quintessential worldwide film restoration. And it's really thanks to the Film Foundation's support and bringing us all together.
Mike Pogorzelski, Director of the Academy Film Archive, thanks so much for joining us, sharing all this great information about the restoration process.
Thank you so much for having me.
All right, coming up next, another movie restored by the Academy Film Archive, collaborating with the Film Foundation. From 1955, The Man with the Golden Arm, starring Frank Sinatra and Kim Novak, and it will be introduced here on TCM by two-time Oscar-winning director Ang Lee.